Hey, thank you for clicking on this video. This is a compilation of 3 different videos I made earlier in this year where we took our old, busted up, neglected car hauler and turned it into the ultimate car hauler trailer that I've always wanted. We replaced the decking, we did all of the maintenance, we did drive over fenders, we did a material lifting arch on the back, and we did a ton of other stuff that is great ideas for anybody out there who's looking for trailer upgrades. So make sure to stay till the end and watch the whole thing and let me know which upgrade was your favorite. If you want to support the channel, you can buy some merch. We have this Make Fabrication Great Again shirt, AI Can't Do a Burnout, Speed Isn't Dead, and a few other designs over on our Amazon merch page. And I'll post the link to that in the description and the pinned comment. So let me know what you think of the trailer build, and thanks for watching. What's up everybody, Nick back here with you from Project Central, and today we're starting a pretty epic build. We're out here at my dad's place grabbing the car hauler so that we can build my ultimate car hauling trailer, car hauler trailer, ultimate utility trailer, ultimate homestead working trailer, whatever you want to call it. We'll figure out a name at some point. But in this video, we're gonna take the old junky trailer and I'm gonna put everything I wanted on it. What you heard was a lot of stuff on it, but what I said was I'm gonna put everything I want on it. So let's get hooked up to it. And there's some pretty crazy weather going on right now. We've had some pretty crazy winds today here in central Oklahoma, but we'll do an overview real quick. So let's get hooked up and then I'll show you what we're working with. Notice how janky the trailer plug is. We're gonna fix that. All right, we got hooked up right quick. Show you what we're working with. So basically what I've got here is a 18-foot car hauler. So it's got a 16-foot deck and a 2-foot dovetail. What I really like about this trailer is a couple things. One, it's got 5,000 pound axles. So notice 6-lug wheels. And look at the channel. This is built out of 7-inch channel, so it's quite a bit heavier than most trailers like this. Here's a good shot up here at the front. Here's a good shot up here at the front of the channel. I got a winch that I put on it. It already had this tongue box on it with a bunch of straps and crap in there. We're gonna kick this I-beam off right quick, and then we're gonna get some lumber. So let's go. Dusty, super nasty out here. We've had a pretty crazy windstorm today. Gusts up about 80 miles an hour in some parts of the metro. And there's a bunch of fires going on and dust advisory. So that's why it looks like this, because it was absolutely getting it today as far as the wind goes. See all this pipe? All right, remember the pipe till the end of the video. We'll come back to it, promise. All right, we got everything out of the Connex that we needed. I'm gonna go say hey to my dad and stepmom right quick, and then hardware store run. All right, just getting pulled in here to Lowe's, and I gotta say, one thing that I am really thankful for, especially when you drive a crew cab long bed truck with a 18-foot trailer, I am super grateful for the what do they call it? The trailer parking spots. Lowe's has these and they are very nice. We're gonna get parked in our special, super special trailer parking spot, and yeah, we're gonna go in and grab some lumber. But first, let me show you what we need to grab right quick. Maybe a little bit hard to see here, maybe harder to hear me with all this wind, but what we have here is 10 2x8s and one 2x6 here in the middle. So let's go into the store and grab that right quick. Let's go. Found me a lumber cart. Whee! This one's crazy because it just spins. It's like one of the IKEA carts. I'm not used to that. But I think what we're looking for is close. I can smell it. Need 10 of these. 2x6, 2x8x16 Doug firs. Let's get them knocked out. Alright, that's all 10. Let's see what else we can find. Sale. I should probably grab one. I mean, it'd be a shame not to, right? Well, there's a bunch of people parked in the loading zone, right? It's a loading zone for people with trailers. So I'm gonna go pull around, get my stuff loaded up. Hopefully the cart doesn't fly away in all this wind, but should not too big of a deal. Pretty typical these days, people parking in the loading zone. Frustrating, but what you gonna do? Say it with me. That's not going anywhere. Okay, got everything loaded up. Hopefully nothing falls off, because we did say that's not going anywhere, so we're good to go. All right, so let's talk about the trailer a little bit. I bought this 10 years ago, basically sight unseen, and I think I paid $1,800 for it. But don't quote me. I tried to go find the marketplace listing the other day when I was doing research for this video and couldn't find it. Anyways, crazy story, because I had actually made a deal with a buddy to go get a parts Jeep that I needed the motor out of, but I didn't have a trailer at the time. So I found this one on Craigslist. Maybe it was Craigslist. Maybe that's why I couldn't find the marketplace listing. And anyways, I drove about an hour and a half to get it, because my buddy who was selling me the Jeep lived about 2.5 hours away. So I had made a deal with a friend to buy a Jeep, but I didn't have a trailer, so I drove out to get the trailer from this guy and ended up buying it sight unseen. And then I went and picked up the Jeep. I think I've got pictures of that. So anyways, I guess I can look at the date on those pictures to get the year when I bought this. So anyways, that was pretty crazy. My wife thought I was insane for driving, you know, doing that, which she was probably correct. In hindsight, it wasn't the best plan, but it all worked out. Got the motor put in the other Jeep, got the rest of the Jeep scrapped, and I got a trailer out of the deal. So it was win-win. And I just want to say, it is unbelievably handy to have a nice trailer. Any trailer, right? I've helped friends move vehicles. Went to grab my own project cars. I've got given material, and that is the number one reason right now why I'm fixing this up. We just bought a couple acres of land in I don't know, about 20-30 minutes north of our current house, and we've got a ton of materials we need to collect, and we're going to be doing a bunch of work out there over the next couple years. So I thought, why not build my dream utility trailer, homestead trailer? I don't know, I still don't know what I'm going to call this thing. But anyways, I have not done anything to this trailer since we bought it. Literally, well, I guess that's not technically true. I added the winch about 6 months after I bought it. No, I added the winch the weekend I got back, because I needed to help another friend winch a winch a vehicle on, winch another Jeep on. So I think that's when I did that. But I bought the winch from a good friend of mine, Travis, that he actually won it in a raffle. We were at an event and he won a brand new winch, but he had a, this is probably 2015, I don't know, he probably had a 1-year-old Rubicon that already had a winch on it, so it just kind of sat in the barn for a little while. And then I called him up and I was like, hey, bro, remember that winch that's brand new in the box that I know you got for free? Make me a deal. Make me a deal. So he did. And that was nice of him. All right, so I guess I should tell you guys about the sequence on how we're gonna fix all this. This first chapter is gonna be basically maintenance, redecking it, rewiring it, and a bunch of other general maintenance stuff. We're gonna check all the tires, you know, we're gonna go through, we're gonna do some stuff like that, just to make sure that the trailer is safe and safe to pull. It's got a new deck on it. Second chapter, what we're going to do is all the, I'm going to say level 1 upgrades. We're going to do some E-track, we're going to do some drive over fenders, do maybe like a spare tire carrier, kind of the next level of, okay, maybe you just bought a new trailer and you're looking for some stuff that you want to do to your trailer video. And then the third chapter is going to be making this my dream trailer. There's some things I really want, and I'm going to do them. I got to fix my winch. We're going to be doing some pipe fencing here in the near future, so I got to make my trailer ready to, you know, be useful in that endeavor. And then the biggest one I'm going to do is I'm going to do a material lifting setup, right? Commonly referred to as a log arch. If you have seen any other videos, one of my favorites that I saw a long time ago, a guy named Matthew Cremoa, I think is how you say his last name, and he has a sawmilling and woodworking YouTube channel, but he's got this log lifting urban logging trailer that is pretty sick, and I'm gonna make something like that. It's gonna be removable from the trailer. So anyways, that's kind of the overall spiel of what it's gonna look like. Hope you guys are excited as I am, because it's gonna be epic, and we're going to take my trailer from busted old crappy utility trailer to really, really nice dream utility trailer. Let's go. All right, so it's a beautiful Saturday morning here. You got everything cleared out of the driveway. Look at that sunrise. Let's go. All right, let me get these boards unloaded right quick, and we'll do a trailer overview. So the first step we're going to take is we're going to remove all these old boards. There's a couple different ways to do it, and I'm going to show you 2 of those, and we're going to see which one is better. First one is you can just try and unscrew all the old screws. I'm pretty fortunate that a lot of these are hex screws, and I'm going to try and unscrew about half of them. The other way is a method I've seen where you cut about 2-foot lengths of board and you just snap the screws off. So we're going to try both of them. I'm going to try unscrewing first, because I think a lot of these boards are so rotten that they're not even going to be able to snap the screws off, and I'm going to have to come back afterwards. So let's get going. Let's get some tools out. Let me show you what we're using. All right, so first tool we're going to use is just my Milwaukee impact driver. We're going to use this to try and remove the screws. Maybe that's not the right size bit. We'll figure that out. Next pair of tools we're going to use, circular saw with just a framing blade on it. Well, I've got a new blade for this. We'll put the new blade on. And cordless sawzall. As you can see, all my tools are red, so is what it is. I like the Milwaukees. What you gonna do? We gotta use the sawzall because when you can't cut all the way to the metal with the circ saw, so we'll have a little bit we'll have to finish up. So let's see if we can't remove some of these screws. Alright, first board. This is one I had replaced, obviously. Well, it looks like there's not very many screws holding this deck on, which, cool, I guess. It's lasted this long, it's hard to argue with. Junk. Alright, first part, I guess if your trailer's only got about 7 screws holding the whole thing together, unscrew it. But you're probably gonna have to cut it in half, cut the boards in half anyway. So let's talk about that for a second. So if you look at my trailer, and I think most trailers are gonna be like this, you'll have screws on one of these cross members, and they'll usually skip one or 2 in my case, and then you'll have another set of screws. So what you want to do is you want to cut to where you have like at least enough leverage to pop these screws. So we're going to cut it right here. It's going to be about 5 foot 60 inches. So I'm going to come here and make me a mark on this side and on this side, and then we'll pop a string line. So I really like these Chalkrite boxes. These I've used these for a long time. They used to be super cheap. They're a little bit more expensive than a regular cheap chalk box, but they're way better. So if you're looking for a good chalk box, I'll have links to everything I use in this video down in the description. And I've had these boxes for like 10 years. So even if you think, oh, that's too expensive, how many cheap chalk boxes would you buy over the last decade? All right, back to trailer stuff. All right, one of the things you got to do before you start just cutting is you got to crawl under the trailer and look to see if you have any wires. Oh, and we do. So there's all of our wires for our lights and stuff. So we're gonna kind of pull those down a little bit. Pull those down a little bit so that we can get these cut out. I've never used one of these before. Obviously I've used saw blades before, but this spider tarantula, this was like one of the cheapest ones at Lowe's. So if we hit metal and ruin it, I'm not gonna be too sad. So let's get it put on the saw and then we'll get cutting. We're gonna set our depth of cut kind of shallow, just in case, you know, you never know. Let's get chopping. Easy money right there. It's not even. Well, I thought we were gonna need the I thought we were gonna need the Sawzall to cut these last little bits, but this stuff's so rotten. Don't even need that. So you see, cut this side, and there's screws here, if you can see that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a cut over here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a cut over here on this side so that I can show you how to pop these screws. Doesn't have to be perfect. Right, so these are our 2 screws that we didn't cut. We didn't back out or anything. Pops right off. Super easy. Like no screws in this. It's insane. Man, those birds are loud. Well, as you can see, we got the trailer deck off. It was surprisingly easy. I was shocked at how few screws were actually holding those boards down. So that's probably not the best, but we're gonna fix it. A couple things we're gonna do right quick is we're gonna get all these boards chopped up and put in the dumpsters, because my big trash day, if you have big trash day where you're at, you know how awesome it is. But my big trash day isn't for like 2 or 3 weeks, so I can't just let this, I don't want to just let this sit around. So we're gonna chop it all up into 3 or 4 foot sections and stuff it in the dumpsters, and then I'm gonna sweep, and I'm gonna bust the pressure washer out, and I'm gonna pressure wash this whole trailer. So you can see I haven't taken the wood off the dovetail yet, and that's because we got to cut these off first. I was thinking about doing this at another point, but I think I need to do it now. So we're gonna get the grinders out and get a grinder out and cut this off. This is not going back in. Obviously, it is absolutely destroyed. So let's get it chopped off real quick, and then we'll talk eventually about what's going on in the back of the trailer in a little while. But it's gonna be pretty cool. Let's get this off and cleaned up. Put this over here in the trash pile. I'm not sure I'm going to use these very much anymore. Oh, it's hooked me. Trash pile. So I got that metal piece holding these in. Not even screwed in. They were just set in there, loose. Set in there loose all these years. Those 2 pieces of angle, those are what captured the ends of the 2x, so that they don't pop up, right? I've got a different plan, right? Because remember, this isn't just fix what's wrong. This is make it the dream trailer. So we're gonna get these stacked up to put in the trash next week. Next step, pressure wash. But like with any project, you gotta go to the store and get some stuff. So I gotta get a hose repair kit because, well, my hose is messed up. And I bought the wrong one the other day. I bought a female one. I need a male one to go into the pressure washer. So, pack the garage up for just a second, run to the hardware store. And we got it fixed. Let's get it hooked up. You know, there's nothing better than introducing a ton of water in the middle of your project. That's really good. You should try it. No, should have thought that one through. I should have washed it. Should have taken it to a car wash or something and washed it there, not here. Whatever, it's fine. It's lunchtime. I'm gonna let this dry. I might hit it with a leaf blower or something to help it out, but anyways. Next step, spray bomb. Underside of the trailer is just getting cheap $2 can spray paint. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Probably. Got the trailer spray bombed. It's okay. It's not bad. I don't know how effective this is really going to be. You know, cheap spray paint. But I don't know. If you're watching this in like the year 2030, spam in the comments and ask me how this is holding up, because I'm curious. I did just use the really cheap stuff on the undercarriage, but I did get some of this 2X Rust-Oleum satin black, canyon black. I like this a lot. This stuff works pretty good, and I'm going to use this on all the the visible parts. So like stuff like this will all get repainted. That's coming off, but like I'll repaint the fenders, and everything you see on the outside will get this, but that's for later. Next up, we are going to eat some lunch, and then we're going to work on some wiring, because like I showed you earlier, the plug is not in great shape, and I need to hook up the trailer brakes. So we'll work on wiring and hooking up trailer brakes. So lunchtime. All right, back with you after lunch break, and we're working on some trailer wiring. As you can see, my old trailer plug, is an absolute disaster. So I ordered a new kit from Amazon. These kits are pretty slick. It comes with a pre-made plug on this end, and on this end it's just a junction box. Let me give you a little closer look. Junction box is pretty simple. Everything's color coded in here. Oops, we'll put that back in there. All we gotta do is cut the existing wire, feed it in here, hook the color coded connections up, and we're good to go. So let's go knock that out. They sent me some of these that have holes already in them, so I'll use one of those to make our penetration in here. All right, well, got to run to the parts store again. I had these little bitty number 6s that I got at Lowe's, and I had these number 8s here at the house, so I figured those would be the right size to go into that junction box. But no, I think I need the next size up from these. So, next size up from these. At least the auto parts store will have these, and that's only a mile from the house. So, be right back. Oh, just like that. All right, now that we got the new plug put on, the next thing we're gonna put on the front of the trailer, new trailer jack. The jack that's on there, it works okay. It's not the best. As you can see, the handle is absolutely roasted. It is so bad. It's hard. It's really hard to turn sometimes, and it's just not serviceable. So, picked up a new 3,500 pound trailer jack from Harbor Freight, and let me go show you on the front where we're gonna put it. All right, let's get this thing unboxed right quick. But I think we're gonna pretty much put it back right in the same spot. This just has a little bit of weld on the sides and the top, so we'll cut all that, and you know, shouldn't be too bad. All right, question. How do you think I should orient this handle? Should I orient it this way? Because if you're standing up, you can kind of crank on it this way. Or should it be oriented this way? Obviously, kind of in this same location. What would you do? Let me know down in the comments. So I'm sort of torn. I think I know what I want to do, but let me get this jacked up and cut off first, and then we'll figure it out. So ended up deciding to put this back in the same spot. So the way this jack works is you weld this on, boop, like that. You buzz that on, and then there's a bracket on, the other half, the actual jack part, that we're gonna weld on over at the welding table inside, so we can put the MIG welder on it. We'll probably end up bringing the stick welder back out here and booger weld this on, so because we'll be able to reach inside quite a bit easier with the stick welder, I think. So anyways, I got this where I want it. All right, so whenever someone asks you, why do you have leads so long for your stick welder? Well, it's because I can get my leads all the way out to the street. So like, if there's something in the street I had to do that was like right here, or like at the front of my trailer right here. So we're going to use a stick welder, and we're going to get that burned right in place. Get a little tack on there. Alright, that looks pretty good. Let's hit it with the old 7018. Oh, I suck at this. All right, rate my welds. What do we think? Think it'll work? Should be fine. So I got it right on our mark, so let's burn this thing in. Are we serious? I got an inch of weld done. Now I got to replace the wire, but it's okay. I got a new box right here. Let's get this knocked. Let's get this put in right quick. Golly, I should have checked first. All right, we are back in business. Let's get this all burnt in. Go! Okay. Welds are not the best, but I got it buzzed in all the way around right quick. Let it cool off, and then we'll throw some paint on it before we go install it. All right, so we're gonna hit it with a little bit of paint. We're gonna use this Rust-Oleum 2X paint primer, satin black. So I like this stuff. It's pretty good. It does okay. Yeah. See, when you get that sizzling effect, that's how you know it's really baking on there good. Easy money. Go. Okay. So nice. That's really good. I really like that. Well, we have come to the point. Where it's not that I was dreading this part. And it's not putting the deck boards back on. We're almost there. But that's why it's called maintenance, not play or fun or hanging out with your buddies drinking beer. It's time to grease the trailer bearing. To check and grease all the bearings. I've already looked. I pulled one cap off earlier, and I do not have the greasable hubs. So that means we are going to pull the tires off and check the play in each bearing and pack some more grease in there, and we got to do it. We're going to be using the trailer a bunch, and I would rather take a couple minutes now and a couple dollars worth of grease and check everything versus having a failure in the near future. Once you got the tire off, you pull the little dust cap off. All right, just pop it off with a hammer. And this is what you're going to get. You're going to have a big castle nut and a cotter pin that goes through it. So let's get that pulled off right quick, and we'll be able to pull the hub off and see how everything looks. So what you'll have once you get it apart, you'll have this castle nut. You have this big old Mondo washer right there. And then you'll have your bearing. Your bearing will be like this, right? So it's a cone-shaped bearing. So when they get smushed together, there's one on the other side that looks like that too. So when they get smushed together, they'll that's what the actual hub rides on. So what you want to do is you just kind of want to look for, make sure there's no, you just want to make sure that it looks like there's no crazy wearing or rust or pitted parts. I'm not sure what kind of grease this is because it's like a brownish red. I've never seen that before. Hopefully that's not dirt, but I don't think it is. So we're gonna get this wiped down with some rags and get this hub pulled off, and I'll show you some more. Okay, there we go. You got the hub. I just got the hub pulled off. Now we're gonna that. Oh yeah, so good. Nice. One of the things you really need to look for, if you get it wiped off, you want to make sure that it still looks like a nice, clean, machined surface. Right? Everything still looks good. There's no giant pits or anything, so I think we're in good shape. So let's look at this hub right quick. All right, so if you were doing like a real service, like I'm just kind of doing maintenance, but if you were replacing this bearing, you would have to knock this dust seal out. But I don't know what this is going to be. So, and it's been working. I'm not seeing any obvious signs of like crazy wear. So I'm just going to squirt a bunch of new grease in there and put it back on, repack this bearing, and shove it all back together. And as you can see, trailer brakes have not been used for a long time. That's one of the things we got to hook up later. Probably not in this video, definitely in the next video though. Next videos though. So I'm gonna get this all re-greased, and we'll put some fresh grease in there, and then we'll, you know, be done. And for grease, I'm just using like regular old black moly Valvoline. This is the Valvoline flavor, so get that spooged in there. We put our dust cap back on here, and we'll just have to do that 3 more times. It's already about 5:30 in the evening on this Saturday. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and start throwing these deck boards on. Get them in place. But before that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through here and I'm gonna mark the center of every single, well, I'm gonna grind these welds off. But I'm gonna mark the center of every cross support so that I know which ones I can drill into, or where I can drill into. So let's get everything marked, and then I'll start throwing boards on. All right, it's almost time to start throwing boards on. But one of the most important things you got to do whenever you are doing this is you got to look at the crown of the board. So you see the rings, how they're like this. Whichever way they're arched is how it's going to cup. So if you put it this way, which I don't know which way this one was, but what will happen, and this will make your trailer deck get destroyed way fast, is that when it cups, it will actually hold water here in the middle. So no matter how much you treat it or you use treated lumber or anything, The key to making your trailer deck last a long time, like, look at which way the crown is going, because that is going to be super important. Because eventually, if you have a couple screws in here, it will hold it down and will keep it from arching and stuff. But if you do it the other way, you're only making more problems for yourself. But now let's start throwing boards on. There's trash out of my face. Okay, a little bit of an issue. I knew this was going to happen, but what you see here is the 2x6 is really 5.5 inches, right? We've only got 5 inches down here. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and muscle the 2x6 in to place, and because what happens is a lot of these boards, if they're dog-legged or bowed or whatever, they're going to create gaps, which is going to create, you know, a tight fit. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and muscle it in. So we'll see how that works. Okay, that was actually a lot easier than I expected it to be. And if you had any more questions on how they should be crowned, this is kind of what it should look like, right? So this arch needs to be pointing up. Some of them are a little interesting, right? So like this one is kind of arching two different ways, but I just took the one that was arched the most and pointed it up. So if you had any more questions, that's what it should look like to make your trailer deck last much longer. All right, so remember we got our marks here with the silver streak. Next, what I'm going to do is go ahead and pop some chalk lines. Even though I'm only going to probably use every other brace, I went ahead and marked every one, because in the next video we're going to be installing some E-track, and I'm going to want to make sure that like I drill my my bolts all the way through the angle iron that's underneath. So that's why I marked everyone, because next video we're doing some more upgrades. But for now, let's figure out which ones we're going to use, and then show you what screws I bought. All right, so here's my thought. Here at the front, where you've only got a couple inches between the angle and where it's captured, really don't need a screw right there. So we're going to start on this one, and I think we're going to go every other. So we're going to go this one here in the middle, this one that's basically right in the middle of the tandem axles, and here this one at the back. We'll probably also put at least one screw at the very end of the boards. We're going to do 2 screws in each one, so that's 8 screws holding each board down. Considering there's only like 6 screws holding all the boards on earlier, I think that's probably not bad. Let me show you what I got from Amazon though. These were the recommended screws from Amazon. All right, so these are advertised as a 2.5 inch screw. The head down to about 1 7/8 of threads, and then you've got the self-tapping part. So for an 1.5 inch board going into a piece of, I don't know, 1/8 inch or whatever thick, however thick angle iron, these will be perfect. All you want to make sure on your threads you have enough to go through the board and have thread engagement in whatever you're drilling through. Start drilling. These are also a Torx. These are a T25 bit. Usually they just include the cutoff type, but this time they included the one that goes into the impact. So let's start getting these. Let's start getting these drilled in, and I'll give you some thoughts on what I think of these. What I think of these screws. I'm not really sure what's going on with these screws. They are not very good, I don't think. They are breaking. The tips are breaking on almost every other one. So we're gonna move to a two tool system. I'm gonna get a small drill bit, pre-drill some holes with the drill, and then I'm gonna try and hammer them home with the impact. See if that helps. Frustrating. Probably doesn't look like it on camera, but it is almost sunset. Sun's going down. It's a beautiful sunset here in Oklahoma. And I've got the deck done, the top done, but I still got to do the dovetail. So I'm going to go cut some boards, fit those in there, get those tacked in place, and then next time you see me, it'll be nice and sunny again, hopefully. And we'll finish this out and do some final thoughts on replacing a trailer deck. All right, one more quick talk for the night. It's sun is set. I am done for the night. I got to pick up some tools. But I got the dovetail section put in. You notice it's a little wonky, right? I see it, so I know you see it, because it's not right. But they'll be fine. They're going to be covered up with metal. The metal's going to disperse the weight. And anyways, so I'm going to finish cleaning up my tools, and I will see you in a couple seconds. Just getting pulled into the land so we can start oiling the deck of this trailer. You know, spent some good money on these boards. I want them to last. Let me show you what we're doing right quick. So the task is pretty simple. We're going to take our old motor oil, dump it out on the trailer, and use this and then use this mop I got from the dollar store, Dollar Tree, Dollar General, whichever one it was. It was Dollar General. And does that count as one of our hardware store stops? Does that count against me? I don't know. But basically, dump this out, mop it around. Make sure you cover everything. I think you got it by now. Let me show you. Back here in the garage, and it's been about 3 days since we oiled the trailer. While it was drying, my son and I went ahead and replaced ball joints and an axle shaft on his Honda. So that was fun. So we're at the end of the maintenance section of this video. We have replaced the rotten wood, sealed it, repacked the bearings, rewired the trailer, added a new trailer jack. So I think so far this trailer is perfectly usable at this point. Like if that's all you need to do to get your trailer back up to operating condition, this has been a great guide, and let me know down in the comments what you've thought so far. And today we're doing part 2 of our trailer series. And last time we did a bunch of maintenance. We replaced the deck, we re-greased the hubs, we added a new trailer jack, and we put a lighting kit on from Amazon. That went pretty good. Today, is nice and chilly, right? So it's in the upper 40s here, that's Fahrenheit, but it's also like super windy. So I don't know how well this is gonna film today, but we're gonna do our best. Worst case scenario, we'll film it, I'll just do voiceovers. That's how you know that you're like not getting AI content, right? But today is a big video. We're gonna be adding a rear metal dovetail to the back of the trailer. We're gonna be adding E-track. We're gonna be adding some stake pockets, some D-rings, and some receiver tubes on the sides. We're gonna weld those on for even more expandability in the future. So come along with me and I'll show you what we're doing and show you what we're working with. So what we're working with is my 18-foot car hauler trailer. It's a 16-foot deck with a 2-foot dovetail. I bought this about 10 years ago and I have neglected it for a long time. That's why in the last video we did a maintenance overview. So these are the sort of like common basic, I don't want to say basic, but like these are like some of the upgrades people do kind of first to a trailer. Whether they bought it brand new or they bought a used trailer. If it's in good shape, you can hopefully skip all the maintenance and not have to do a bunch of that. And you can go straight to doing these type of upgrades. Right? Maybe you're hauling dirt bikes, maybe you're hauling a side-by-side, maybe you've got some sort of business where you've got to build some specific stuff for your trailer. These are some good upgrades, right? For me, we just bought a couple acres up about 30 minutes from our house, 20 minutes from our house, where we're going to hopefully be building a house in a couple years. So we're going to be hauling a lot of building materials, and I've also got teal Jeep behind me that eventually once we finish building that, we're gonna have to tow that everywhere we go. All right, first thing we're gonna do is we got to do some layout of where we're gonna put some of this stuff. But because we oiled the deck boards in the last video to seal them, right? So TLDR, you can use motor oil to seal new deck boards. I usually save all my stuff. I usually save all my used motor oil for trailers and stuff like that. But because we mopped it on, right, we weren't super careful with where we put it, we're gonna do some brake clean and some rags to wipe down the areas where we're probably gonna have to do some welding here pretty soon. So I'm gonna go knock that out right quick, and then we'll come back and I'll show you where we're gonna lay some of this stuff out at. So stay tuned. I think I got the oil cleaned up pretty well. Next step is we kind of laid out where we're gonna put some of the accessories, right? We're gonna put a couple of D-rings at the front, on the front channel. We're gonna put a couple D-rings kind of at the back, kind of just right in front of the lights here. And we're gonna add a couple more stake pockets on the back, right behind the wheels. I had removed the ones that were there a long time ago when I was doing these two different styles of drive over fenders. I couldn't really tell which ones I was going to settle on, but after thinking about it and having to be around them for a couple years now, I think I'm going to remove this original first kind of like rectangle tube style. I don't really like how they turned out. They're kind of janky and not really the best. So we're going to cut those out of the way. We're going to get our areas prepped so we can weld on some new things. For now, we're just doing some D-rings and stake pockets. So we're going to get those. We're going to get all the areas prepped, and then I'll show you what we're using. All right, so temperature is definitely dropping a little bit. It is cold front moving through. We just got a little sprinkle. Just ate some lunch, came back out, and everything was kind of wet. So extra layer, because I think the day's high was at like 5 a.m. and cold front's rolling through. It is, it says it's in the upper 40s still, but we're inside the garage. Out there, it is 10 feet that way. Get out into the wind. It is pretty rough. So we're gonna do some prep on. We're gonna do some prep on the trailer. We gotta cut those old drive over fender off. We gotta buff some paint off and stuff. So we're gonna knock that out right quick. All the prep and cleanup has been done on the trailer. We've got spots for some D-rings to get welded on. We've got some spots for some stake pockets to get welded on. And the ones I'm most excited about are actually the receiver tube. Picked this up from Harbor Freight. 18-inch receiver tube, standard receiver tube, right? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna chop this into 3 equal parts at 6 inches apiece, and we're gonna weld 3 sections of this on to the trailer, along with some stake pockets we're gonna weld on. Even though these were advertised at 2 by 4 inches, they are not. They're smaller than advertised, and they're pretty thin gauge metal. But it'll be fine because we're adding D-rings to put chains on, and these are gonna just be for like straps and if we ever have to add sides, right? So not terribly worried about how cheesy these are. And the D-rings we're using, these are weld on kit. Got these off Amazon too. I'll post links, of course. So we'll add a couple of these to the front, a couple to the back, so if we ever have to like chain something down, these will be good. But first, we're gonna get this receiver tube chopped up and prepped into 3 pieces. So I went ahead and cut down some pieces of 2-inch quarter wall square tubing to fit inside the receiver hitches. These are going to go I'm going to weld these on the back and one on the driver's side of the trailer for upgrades, which I'll show you more in the next video. But for now, we got to drill some holes in them. And one of the big tips you can do is take your piece that's cut and the receiver hitch you're trying to drill a hole through, to put them both in the drill press at the same time and drill them both together. That way once you punch all the way through with your, so I'm using a 5/8 bit, I'm stepping sizes up, but the end size is a 5/8. When you're done drilling all the way through, you should, in theory, be able to put a 5/8 pin or a 5/8 bolt through that because you drilled it all at once. So that's why we're doing it that way. Next up, we'll start welding these onto the trailer. Alright, so I just wanted to show you the plan. Normally, if it was a nicer day, I'd wheel out the MIG welding cart, but today, being a little windier, a little bit nastier, we're going to stick weld all this. So the plan is, we're going to start with the 6011s. We're going to do one pass with that, and then where's the number? And then we'll do a pass with these 7018 rods. So should be pretty good, should go pretty easy, should be super strong. And anyways, let's get this burnt in. All right, so we're doing 4 D-rings, 3 of the receiver tube mounts, and 2 stake pockets to start with. Once we get it all done, we'll see how it looks. But that's the plan for now, so should work pretty good, and I'm pretty excited to have some extra tie down points on the trailer. Welding went pretty well. Doing the 6011 root pass and then a 7018 cap. Turned out pretty good. Pretty happy with that. Got all the corners and edges kind of buffed. Make sure there was no like boogers on there that were gonna hold, you know, cause problems later. You know, we've all had, at least I've had, you know, the one stake pocket that's got the one little booger that just tears up straps and stuff. So I went and tried to knock some of that stuff down. And the next step is we're just gonna start on the paint. You know, trying to cover all this bare metal. We're using this Rust-Oleum 2X paint primer. I really like this Canyon satin black. This stuff works pretty good. So, you know, we're gonna paint it, let it sit overnight, and then tomorrow we're gonna come back and do some more work on things. All right, well, it is day number 2 out here on the trailer build, and yesterday was so cold and so windy. I've got the gear for it, but when the wind is, you know, 25 miles an hour constant and 35 to 40 mile an hour gusts throughout the day, it's just brutal to work in, and there's only so much you can do in the garage. But we had a good day yesterday. We added a whole bunch of extra tie down points, right? So we added 2 D-rings to the front, 3 stake pockets overall, and these receiver tubes to the back, and 1 to the side. So overall, we did a good job. Got everything spray bombed a little bit, you know, so it doesn't rust. But today we've got some more projects to do. We're gonna put some metal dovetail on the back of the trailer. We're gonna add some E-track to the deck, and hopefully by the end of the day we can get around to rewiring the trailer brakes. I know the brake controller on the truck isn't hooked up to the plug in the back. I got to do some wire testing on that. But we're going to hopefully get those 3 things done today. So let's get started. Let me show you what we're working on first. Oh, and today is supposed to be a much nicer day. It's supposed to be about 15 degrees warmer, so it's going to get up to about 60 today, and the winds are going to be so much calmer. So hopefully we can get quite a bit done today. But we will see, as always. You know what I just realized? I forgot that I have to do the dovetail first, put all the metal on that first so that I can drill through it and attach the E-track. So, pivot. We're gonna do the dovetail first. We're gonna make a whole bunch of noise at like 8 a.m. My neighbors love that. All right, so the sheet of metal we need, you know, sometimes you don't have storage for everything, so it just sits in the driveway with a vehicle on top of it. So we're gonna see if the Jeep will start. Got the keys. I do know that we did disconnect the battery last time we used it because it's got a little draw. So hopefully the battery's charged, and yeah, let's see what's up. Come on, baby. Never a doubt. Never doubt the Jeeps until they break down on you. Until they break and leave you stranded or cost you thousands of dollars. Never doubt the Jeeps though. All right, let me show you the metal sheet I got for free. So this metal sheet was a stair landing that was left over on a big commercial job. Last year I made a friend with a superintendent who was from out of state. He lives in Georgia. I'm in Oklahoma. And he had a whole bunch of extra metal, and I got some of it. I was very fortunate to Troy. Thank you, sir. So this is like 1/8" plate, and the whole sheet right now measures basically 55.5 by 106 inches. And that's not really going to fit what we're doing, so we're going to cut some off of it. So we're going to get it drug up on the trailer, get it cleaned up because it has had some transmission fluid leak on it for quite a while and some dirt. So we're going to do that, and then I'll show you what we're going to show you our measurements. Okay, close enough. That wasn't too bad getting it drug up on the trailer, but next step, we got to clean that rust preventative spot off. That's not gonna be good for us. So we got some rags, we got some brake clean. Let's get it cleaned up. All right, let me show you why we need to do a plunge cut in the middle. All right, so we're trying to do some relief cuts. All right, you can see the angle of the dovetail. We really need to make a bend, but I don't want to use two different pieces and try and butt them up. It's much easier to do it out of one piece and then just cut some relief cuts and then make some bends. This isn't sketchy at all. All right, well, we got the metal piece put on the dovetail. Now let's get it buffed out. We're gonna use a flap disc, clean up some of these edges, because we're just gonna weld this thing on. I originally thought about using some self-tapping screws along the outside, but I decided that the ones I had were like old roofing screws, and they weren't steel. They're aluminum to prevent rust. And I'm really concerned that things are going to get, if I'm trying to drag something on and off the trailer, the heads are going to snap off and then this thing won't be attached. But it's a nice day. We can get the MIG setup out. I just put a fresh spool of wire in it the other day. So I'm going to get the flap disc out, and we're going to clean some of this up so that we can start MIG welding. Alright, if you haven't seen this on the channel before, this is what I call the ultimate welding cart. Right, so I just took a Harbor Freight lower box that I had from when I worked at a mechanic shop a long time ago. They basically hung one of the new modular titanium welding tables off the back, so that I've got a welder, consumables, all my welding gear, and a work surface all in one. So this thing has been super handy over the past, I don't know, about a year that I built it. So it's been pretty cool. Let's get welding though. Well, we got everything welded out. Got the grinder hooked up. So we're gonna attack this with grinding disc, flap disc on the edges so there's no sharp boogers or anything. Knock all that down, knock all this stuff down in the middle. Maybe we have to go over that once again. I tried using the old lay a welding rod down and burn over it. Didn't work. Figured yeah, that didn't work at all. It sucked. So I gotta clean all that up. Probably have to go over some of these again, and then you know, we'll see how it looks after I get done grinding on it for a while. All right, trailer dovetail is on. We're gonna sweep it off, maybe wipe it down with a little bit of brake clean or something. We're gonna spray bomb it with this Rust-Oleum 2X satin we've been using on this project. If you've been following along, stuff's pretty good. You know, it's only like $5 or $6 a can, and it's shown to do pretty good in testing and stuff. So let's get that knocked out, and then lunchtime. I'm getting hungry. All right, so this has been drying for probably not nearly long enough, but we're gonna go ahead and drill some screws into it. We're gonna use the same deck screws we used on the deck on the first video. And if you've never seen one of these before, this is a Tajima Chalkrite box. It's my favorite chalk box. This one I've had for probably 10 years. I've got one for blue, one for red. So we're just gonna pop us a little chalk line there. I like using the blue on stuff like this just because, I don't know, it's less permanent, so it does a little bit, it cleans up a little bit easier. You don't have a permanent line on your whatever you're working on. Alright, got the trailer cleaned off quite a bit, and as you can see, the weather's getting better. Hoodie came off. Got the rear dovetail done, but one thing, you know, about this whole build, this is not the, oh, do some of the things I want. This is do everything I want on the trailer build. So next part is we're gonna put some metal down, just like on the dovetail, but we're gonna put it down the center of the trailer. Purpose of this is that if we're dragging something onto the trailer, right, like a steel pipe or some building materials or whatever, if we're having to winch it on and it's dragging across the bed, I don't want it to tear up the wood we just replaced. So I've got some more. I've got the cutoff piece from the dovetail. I've got some more pieces back in the side of the house that are, you know, they're already painted, so you can't really do anything with them because they're already primed. You know, a lot of the raw steel you get that you can, you know, do stuff with. But if it's already got a coat of paint on it, you know, you have to strip the paint before you do anything. So we're going to work on getting those cut down and screwed to the trailer. So that's the next part. Alright, as we're waiting for paint to dry, we can now start laying out our E-track. I've got 20 feet of this total, so we'll do basically 5 at the front and 5 at the back on each side. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Boom. Nailed it. Alright, but for real though, I'm going to go put a tape measure on all this. Alright, so what are we going to use to attach the E-track to the trailer? Well, we're going to use these quarter by 20 by, what did I get? 2.5 inch bolts. So we're going to drill through wood, metal, a couple layers of metal, everything. And then we're going to use these locking nuts on the backside with just a regular washer. So, got a whole bunch of 1/4 inch bits out of the toolbox. So let's get drilling, because this is gonna take a while. E-track, done. Well, as done as it's going to get. There's a couple spots where there's an existing screw that obviously you can't see, you know, underneath while you're exactly where you're drilling, and there were some couple screws I hit, so we had to kind of mix and match bolt placement, but it's fine. I'm pretty happy with it. I think they're going to be pretty strong. There's like 22 quarter 20 bolts in each one, so this should be strong enough, I would think, especially just to hold down like a car tire or something. Next step is we're going to get our middle pieces, or middle protector for like if we're dragging anything on, like I talked about earlier. We're going to get those mocked up, laid out in place, and then I'll show you what we're going to use to attach them. Spoiler, it's just some wood screws I have laying around. Well, the past 2 days, I've taken off work to work on this trailer, and I gotta say, I have been very grateful I did this. We have tackled so much in this video. New stake pockets, new D-rings. We added some receiver tubes for some future expansions. Rear metal dovetail today, E-track, and the, I don't know, wear piece in the middle that we're putting down for, you know, winching stuff onto the trailer. This is stuff anybody can do. None of it was super complicated. Obviously, I've got the welder and I've got some fab tools, but I promise you, if you have a trailer and you don't have those tools, find a buddy that does. I'll speak for him. He'll probably be willing to help for some, you know, beer or pizza or whatever. And anyways, this is a project anyone can do. I am super happy the way this trailer has turned out. It is so good, so much more usable. I really wanted to tackle the trailer brakes in this video as well, but the wiring is just destroyed. Unfortunately, when I was underneath there, tightening up all the bolts for the E-track, I was looking at it, and it is real bad. Like real bad. Like I need to rewire all of them, and they've got wires that come from the brake drums and go through the axle housing and stuff. So that'll be another video. But for this video, let me know what you thought down in the comments about the trailer build out. We've got we've got at least one more video coming soon. Probably, I don't know, the next time you watch this, or it'll be linked at the end of this video. But we've got a drive over fender to do next video. We've got a log lifting arch, and we've got to fix the winch. So those three things I'm going to tackle in the next video. But thanks for watching. I really appreciate you all for hanging out with me. Let me know what you use your trailer for, right? I'm always interested to know what people use their trailers for. What's up, everybody? Nick back with you here from Project Central, and today we're going to continue working on the trailer. We're going to continue the build series, and if you've been following along, you've seen how we've taken this old junky 18-foot car hauler with a rotten deck, and we have redecked it. We've sealed the wood for free, which was pretty cool, and we added some great upgrades in the last video, including D-rings, this E-track, rear metal dovetail, which I'm sitting on right now. And in this video, we're going to do even more upgrades. We're going to fix the winch. We're going to build another drive over fender to match the one that's on this side over here. And we're going to build a material lifting arch off the back. So let's jump straight into it. First thing we're going to do, we're going to throw some parts at the winch. Actually, I need that. I need that one. It's bad. As you can see, I've got some welding lead. The reverse stopped working, I don't know, a long time ago. And I eventually just had to jump it across the terminals with like a screwdriver just to get it to suck in. So we're gonna fix that. with this. It's another box that a friend gave me. He had a box of these, and you can see how nice and pristine that relay looks. Let's open this up real quick and I'll show you how messed up this one is. Okay. Huh. Yikes. That's really bad. You wonder why it doesn't want to work. I knew it had water in it, but I didn't expect it to be bottom of a lake. All right, there's a good chance this battery is dead, but let's see if it does anything. Okay, for real this time, I had the positive leads messed up. Let's see. Yep. Alright, I'm not sure what's going on with this winch. I'm going to have to do some more research, maybe order some parts. There's a good chance that the box of trash relays that my buddy gave me, the one I just installed, is trash. So I'm probably just going to order one real quick for the Amazons, and we'll see if it's here by the time I need to wrap this video up. Next up is the material lifting arch on the back. So let's get that knocked out. Let me tell you about why I'm building this material lifting arch. I'm not calling it a log arch. Usually that's what it gets called. First time I saw this was, there's a channel I've been watching for quite a while called Matthew Cremoa. I think he's in the Northeast somewhere. He's definitely up north of me. I don't know, East or West Coast. But anyways, he has this like urban logging trailer that's pretty cool. So he can go pick up big giant logs for his sawmill and load them up, you know, himself with just this arch and a winch. It's not a new concept, but I'm going to be using this kind of idea because I'm going to be collecting a ton of materials over the next year or two, off of job sites probably, and I just want to make sure that I'm able to pick them up by myself, no matter what it is. Big old giant piece of pipe that I'm going to use, or sheet metal, or whatever. That's why we're fixing the winch and building this log arch, or not log. I'm going to call it a log arch, but it's really a material lifting arch. So now that I've got all my fab tools set up, let me show you what we've already got built. So in the last video, we added these receiver tubes to the back of the trailer. We added one on each side, and I did this because I knew I wanted to have the lifting arch. Right, I planned ahead. This is something I've been thinking about for a while on how to incorporate it in the trailer. So in the last video, we cut and drilled these 12-inch tubes, right? And we drilled them together so that they'll match up. Now let me show you what we're gonna do as far as uprights and cross pieces and hinges and all that stuff. All right, took a little bit of a break to eat some lunch, but back out here after lunch, and I'm gonna show you what's up. So I've got cold cut saw set up with the new pipe jack I bought, and this is kind of gonna be the start of our build, right? So we're just gonna do a super simple hinge setup here. We're just gonna drill a 3/4 inch hole all the way through here, and then we'll take a piece of angle, cut it down, and attach it to here, or something. We might take another little piece of this tube, put it below, and then make a plate over here. I don't know. It needs to be pretty strong because half the weight of the whole thing's going to be on it, but it doesn't. I mean, a 3/4 inch bolt will be plenty strong. And then up here at the top, the plan is we'll do some sort of arch shape, right? So we'll cut in probably a 45 here, and we may even use some 2x3 tubing to go up, but I don't know. But whatever we do, we'll do some joints here, and then we'll cut some plates and fish plate it all, so it's super nice and strong. So that's the plan for this afternoon. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this other piece of 2-inch square tube, and I'm going to cut it down to 5 feet. That never gets old. Cold cut saw is just the best. Next up is we're going to take these over to the drill press, drill some 3/4 inch holes so we can bolt these together and work on however we're going to do that. So let's go knock that out. Okay, here's the plan. I cut just some 2x2 squares out of some scrap. We are going to melt those together. And digging around in the parts bin, I found a couple old shock tabs I had cut off of something else. And we're going to basically do like that, melt it all together, and we'll have ourselves some pivots. Pretty straightforward. On stuff like this, you don't have to overthink it. Like, all it's gotta do is pivot. You don't have to, like, it doesn't have to be anything insane. It just has to work. Alright, got the metal glue gun, hot metal glue gun fired up. That. We're gonna let that one cool. Knock out the other one right quick, and then we'll start laying stuff out. Oh yeah! Hey, look at that! Pretty cool. I'd say it works pretty well. I'm gonna set y'all back down. All right, so I found this section of, it's actually an old gate, but it's got a 2x3 rectangle tube top piece, and I dug these old suspension links out of the corner of the shop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to match that one up there, or I'm going to take these two, I'm going to cut them down to make my arch, and then we'll put this across the top with probably some reinforcements because it's only like 1/8 inch wall. So we'll have to probably put a piece of angle or something across the back just to stiffen it up. So let's get all this stuff chopped up. So the cool thing about cutting a 2x2 square tube on a 45 is that it gets really close to being a 2x3. So you can take something like this, right? And then you can just put a piece of 2x3 going across, which is what we're going to do. So I'm going to make one more of these to copy this for the other side, and then we'll get maybe some tack welds put on and maybe some rough measurements measured. Maybe, we'll see. Okay, got our kind of upright, kind of 45-ish pieces put into place. So it's gonna go something like that. We'll have to, I don't know, shim this one up, or I don't know, we'll figure that out. But let's get some tack welds on all this. Let's get tacking. All right, 45.5. All right, got the arch, the middle of the arch where it needs to be. I'm gonna clamp it in place and start welding it out. Woo. Sweet. Well, I've got to stop my progress not your progress. That's not my progress right here. So I'm gonna hit all this with just some weld through primer. It's gonna have to sit for a couple days, and I just don't want a bunch of like surface rust. I mean, obviously this is already all rusty, but I'm on dad duty this weekend, so probably no welding progress. Probably not much welding progress till next week. So we're gonna hit all this with all these joints with a nice quick coat of weld through primer right quick, and then so when you see me next, we'll be welding. At least next week the weather is supposed to be super nice. Hey, you're still recording. Is he gonna clear the house? Son of a biscuit. The right size wrench for the job. This is the metric. Oh wait, that's the standard version, yeah. Did I forget? Take the bind out of it and it does pretty good. Let's get it flipped over. Yeah, let's get it flipped over and we'll burn that other side together. Nailed it. I got two of the sides, the kind of the front and back, if you will. Not really the outside or the underneath part. It's not making much sense. But I got those welds ground down because that is where we're going to be attaching some strengthening plates or fish plates, or I don't know. I've always called them fish plates, but we gotta make some of those. So we've got 8 we're gonna do, 2, 4 on one side, 4 on the other. So let's find some, I don't know, what do we need? Cardboard or something? So let's find some let's find something we can use. We'll be right back. I got me a box of Dr. Pepper, probably the single best thing to come out of the state of Texas in my opinion. As an Okie, I'm allowed to say that. Buc-ee's. I'll give you Buc-ee's too. I like Buc-ee's a lot. This will be easier over the welding table. Let's go over there. I'll show you what's up. So 8 inches by 3 inches. And we're going to come over here and mark. We're going to mark the middle. So see the line I drew in the middle? Let me show you why I did that. So I drew this line in the middle to kind of line up our piece here. Right, so we'll cut this out of like some 3/16 plate and we'll be able to burn it in all the way around. And it'll be super strong. Let's make one for this other side too. Zero sugar is my favorite, by the way. Same thing here. This one's a little easier. This one's a little easier because the both tubes are kind of the same dimensions. So you see that'll fit just like that. We'll be able to burn the whole thing in. Money. Got all the gussets laid out where they go. They cut out nicely. I used the plasma cutter on some. I used the new metal cut saw on some. If you've seen the review, that's what we were doing. And anyways, I got everything all cleaned up. Got the weld bottle on. So let's get all this burnt in. Well, somehow yesterday it got dark on me when I was finishing up welding. That happens when the sun goes down, apparently. So today we're going to keep working on the material arch, but we're going to wrap it up. After I get all these gusset plates buffed down with a flap disc, we're going to weld on this big piece of angle, right? So for the verticals and the diagonals, we use 2x2 1/4-inch wall stuff. But the piece of 2x3 tube we used in the middle, it's only 1/8 inch wall, so it's a little bit lighter duty. And I'm hoping that by adding this, so that we'll drill a hole here in the middle and run a big clevis through it for the winch to pull apart against. And on the back side, the actual lifting side, we'll burn in another D-ring. Should be nice and strong, should be nice and beefy. All right, back over here at the welding table, and all right, so this is the piece we're gonna use. It's pretty rusty, pretty crusty, so we gotta clean this up. One, so we can weld on it, and two, so we can have some paint put on it. But there are a couple things we're gonna do. I'm gonna nip these corners off, just sharp corners on something that's like basically gonna be at head level at sometimes. Not smart. So I'm gonna cut some 45s in this, or let's cut some angle in this, so that we don't have a sharp. So I'm going to cut some sort of angle in this, probably 45, so that we just don't have a sharp corner that's going to dome somebody. And then we'll have to drill probably a 1-inch hole through this 3/8 plate. I think it's 3/8. It looks like 3/8. So we'll have to drill like a 1-inch hole out here in the middle for our clevis to go through. We'll do that at the drill press, for sure. But first, more grinding to get it cleaned up. Well, on the arch here, I've got the piece we just welded up, and I'd say, yep, that'll do. So what we're gonna do now is, this is a little bit too much of a breeze, and yesterday when I was welding the gussets on, I got a lot of porosity just because the wind was blowing the gas around. So we're gonna stick weld it, and we're just gonna use some 1/8 inch 611 rods in the Harbor Freight cheapo depot DC Chicago Electric DC inverter welder, set on, I don't know, 80, 100 amps, whatever it goes to, and we're just gonna burn them in. So let's go. All right, got the angle burned in there really good. Went over everything twice, and should be strong enough. If that breaks, I've got much bigger problems. Next step, also I spray bombed the mounts here, and so we're gonna put those in. I did end up getting a couple 5/8 hitch pins to so that I don't have to worry about like a nut and bolt shaking loose, and you know, this will be way better, way easier to remove and stuff. So anyways, we're gonna get this plopped into place, all hooked up, and then we're gonna spray bomb it with, we're gonna all put it into place, and then we're gonna spray bomb it with this gloss red. It's a moving part. I don't want to, it's gonna be about head height at times, and I want people to be able to see it. I'm people, I want to be able to see it. So we're gonna hit it with some gloss, call it safety red. And then, you know, let it dry overnight and see what it looks like tomorrow. Should be good. Well, like most things that get painted in the driveway, it looks good from about 15 feet away. I'm not going to show you any close-up pictures of the runs that the paint made, or the overspray, because it should be criminal what you can do with spray cans. That is going to do it for the material lifting arch until we go use it. I'm going to show you how to use it at the end of the video, so make sure to stick around. Doesn't look like it because the camera helps, but it's getting dark. Tomorrow night we're going to work on something else, and that's going to be... Next step on the project is we're going to do our drive over fenders. The 2 attempts that I've made in the past have not been very good. The tube fenders on this side worked okay, but they ate up a lot of real estate, right? So inch and 3/4 tubing times 2, you know, you're losing 3 to 4 inches of width on your trailer. And the other side with the 1x3 rectangle tube, it just looked horrible. So what we're going to do next is we're going to remove those, and then we're going to bust the plasma cutter out, and we're going to cut some 1/8 inch plate to sandwich the inside of the fenders, right? So I think it's already like 1/8 inch plate fenders or 1/8 inch fenders. They're already pretty heavy. A long time ago, I drove a vehicle over them, and it did a little bit of damage, but really not that much. I think if we add some plate to the inside and then run a support in the middle between the 2 tires out of, you know, some angle or some tubing that we've got laying around, whatever we do, it's going to make it so that I'll be able to drive over them with the Jeep, and they should last a very long time. So let's get started. First thing we gotta do is cut this old stuff off. Got all of the old drive over fenders off. Looks pretty good, I'd say. I mean, no worse for wear overall. And so next up, I want to show you just this little bit, right? So I showed you the one fender that's a little damaged. Well, as I was getting the tube off of that side and looking at it, we might have an issue, but I got to show you a little closer. All right, it might be a little hard to see with the GoPro lens, so I'm going to show you, because it's kind of wide angle. I'm going to show you with the other lens here. Probably a little hard to see with the GoPro, but this is just a little bit caved in right here. So right here where my hand is, it kind of like rolls up. So it's kind of dense, kind of smushed. So we got a couple options since we really need to smush this flat, but I don't know how I'm gonna do that. The top of it got pushed down, which kind of like pinched it like this. So I don't know what we're gonna do. Let me go check the scrap metal pile and see what I can find. Right, I've got a plan. I don't know how good of a plan it is, but it is a plan. It's going to look a little funky, I think, but that'll be fine. It'll all work out the way it's supposed to. I found this sheet of 3/16 plate, but it is not big enough to stretch. I don't have enough material to completely plate the whole inner fender on both sides. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut 4 arches. Basically everything that way and everything that way. And we're gonna really gusset up both corners, fronts, arches, roundy spots. I don't know, whatever you want to call them, the front and the back part. This middle part we're gonna leave open, but right here is gonna be a piece of 3" by 3" angle iron. We'll cut it down to about 36 inches, roughly, and that will help bridge this middle section so the middle section doesn't get caved in. Also, on the flip side of this, underneath, we'll put a brace to come up and land about here in the middle, so that like if the Jeep tire or whatever gets too far out, it won't curl it won't smash the fender down. Maybe not the most elegant of solutions, but it does have one added benefit, is that I have a couple extra D-rings like we've welded on the rest of the trailer, and that will allow me to put a D-ring right here, so that if I've got something in the middle I need to have an anchor point to, I can have a D-ring or something, right? So I think that's going to be the best solution for the material I have on hand. So I'm going to get the plasma cutter fired up. I got to charge the air compressor, fill the air compressor up, and then I'm going to make a template, probably out of some I got some thin wood. I'm going to make a nice template that I can use to really, so I don't have to freehand it, because if I freehand it, it's going to look bad, real bad, and nobody wants that. Also, I need to straighten this side up a little bit, and we're probably going to do that with a sledgehammer, much to my neighbor's dislike, but it is what it is. Do some percussive mechanics and make it work. So that's the plan. Let's hit this with this, I guess, pull this tire off right quick, and then I'll start hitting it with a sledgehammer, because why not? I mean, how much worse could I make the situation by hitting it with a hammer? I mean, it's still a little wavy, but dang. Shoo! Alright, it's another day here at Project Central, and we've got some pieces cut to help make our drive over fenders possible. Alright, so we've got our 1x3 tube. This was on the top, but I cut these pieces down to 20 inches, and I'm gonna slide this up under the fender right here. And then we're gonna take our little standoffs we cut, weld those on here, and we're gonna put a tube. We're gonna take a piece of tube to go between the tires, and this is really gonna help anytime we've got any weight out here. And then after we're done welding all this up, we're gonna take a piece of 3x3 by 1/4 inch angle iron and run across the top. And then after we get it all burnt in, we will spray bomb it like we've been doing the whole time. So let's get these put in place and you know, hopefully have some fenders that will stand up to the test of time. I don't think that they are going to necessarily have to be like super heavy duty, with the 3x3 angle on the inside and supporting it just so they don't get crushed. That should be plenty for a vehicle to drive over them. Most of the time, I probably will have to be careful with staying on the inside of the fender, right? Like not pushing the limits too far, but it'll be fine, I hope. So anyways, let's get this all burned in. Okay, got the everything done on this side. Show you a quick view. Right, so I didn't have enough material to infill all of this. So this piece of 3x3 1/4 inch angle should be strong enough to span the weight of a vehicle without crushing the fender. And like I said earlier, it gave me a nice spot on the D-ring. And underneath, it's kind of hard to see, underneath we got our little bump out right here, tube, and then there's a, oh, it's dark. And we got that piece of 1x3 tubing going across it. So this should be quite a bit stronger. I don't know if it's like drive a monster truck on it, but for now I'm pretty happy with it. I'm gonna go knock out the other side right quick, blast it with a little bit of spray paint, and then we're gonna mount our winch, so stay tuned. All right, did some more testing. I think my winch motor or something in there is totally locked up. Put the power leads straight to the battery and nothing happens. Not even a click, nothing. So I bought a new winch. Let me go grab it. The other day I picked up this Badlands 5,000. The other day I picked up this Badlands 5,000 pound winch. This is like an ATV winch, like one of the big ATV winches. It'll be perfectly fine for the trailer. So we're gonna get this old boat anchor off and see what it takes to get this new one installed. All right, I'm gonna get all this picked up for the night, but at some point tomorrow morning, we're gonna finish everything up. We're gonna go on a little adventure, and I'll give you a final overview on the trailer. All right, getting back out here to my dad's house where I keep my trailer, and I'm gonna say we are pretty close to what I would consider fully done. There's a couple little last minute things I gotta do. Can't figure out why my trailer brake controller on the truck isn't working. Tried to trace some wires this morning, that didn't work. But I wanna show you why I went through all this effort on this trailer, because like I said, we've got some land that we bought. I'll show you a shot of that now. And we've got some pipe fence we got to build. Since I'm generally a one-man show, I built this lifting arch. So I'm going to show you how it works right now. All right, remember all the pipes we talked about at the very first video, right? We're going to see what it takes to get these loaded up. This is some old drill pipe, but a lot of this is like 4 and 6 inch pipe. And we're going to load it onto the trailer using our lifting arch. So let's get it flopped around, and I'm going to get the winch hooked up to it and show you how it works. Got everything set up. We're going to I'll show you the first piece of pipe we're going to load up. It's going to be this 4 inch. And once we get it on the trailer, I'll measure, see how long it actually is. This is a piece of 4 inch right here. This has been a project. Holy smokes, let's go talk about it. All right, back here at the garage, and it's been a couple months since we finished rebuilding the trailer. Gotta say, it takes me a long time to edit videos, so sometimes things take a while. But the trailer rebuild has been pretty flippin' epic and excellent. In the past couple of months, I've used it to get materials for the fence. I'll show you a quick video here of me loading up a full stick of 12-inch pipe by myself using the loading arch, the material lifting arch, whatever we're calling it now. Man, it's been really good. You know, I'm hopefully going to use this in the future as a culvert for my property that we're building. I've hauled fence materials. I'm going to go get some more fence materials from a buddy this weekend. I've hauled project cars. I've hauled other materials. Moved cars around. Used the winch. Nah, Jeep's flopping around the driveway. Tarp on the Jeep's flopping around the driveway. Use the winch to move vehicles around. I had to pull the teal Jeep out, put it in the driveway, hauled the red Jeep out to the land, messed around with the Trailblazer a little bit. Got this Miata I'm sitting in right now, and it has just been excellent. For the longest time, I really severely neglected the trailer, and after fixing up, redecking it, sealing the wood, servicing all the bearings, what should we do? We added some more stake pockets, some D-rings, some E-track, fixed the trailer brakes, added the new winch, built the material loading arch, did the metal dovetail on the back, did the strip down the middle to help protect it when you're winching stuff on. We have done so much work to this thing, and it has turned out excellent. This is a trailer that I am excited to have in the next, 5 or 10 years coming up. I might have to redeck it in about 10 years maybe, we'll see. But it has been so good. So if you have an old trailer, hopefully this gave you some ideas on upgrades you can do in the future. And if so, let me know down in the comments, because I love talking to you guys in the comments. So hope that helps. I'm gonna do a little montage here at the end just to show where we started and where we ended up along the way. So this has been great, and do what you always do. Take care of one another, and I'll see you next time. Maybe we'll be using the trailer, maybe we'll be working on something else, but whatever we're doing, it's going to be a good project over here at Project Central. Bye.